of the 30 Days of Off the Board series that is happening all month long for July. I just showed you my inspiration from Pinterest for today's layout. It's that gorgeous layout from Anita Bounds or Bonds. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your last name right. I just thought it was so pretty, and I've been working with this collection from Close to My Heart. It's the Stars and Sparklers collection, and the stripes in Anita's layout instantly reminded me of this red and white paper, and so I thought, why not keep going with it and just scrap the other picture that I had it's actually from Canada Day from 2019. It's a selfie of hubby and me just sitting in the cold and enjoying our Timmy's coffee, waiting for fireworks and watching the kids just play and have fun. So the picture was ready and the papers were ready, so I figured let's go ahead and use them. So like I said, this is a Close to My Heart collection called Stars and Sparklers. It's sort of more of a July 4th American collection. The red, white, and blue, and there's the, star motif and that kind of thing. But I've been Canadianizing it, if that's a word. It's not a word, but I'm going to make it a word. And Jen sent me all of these gorgeous papers. I got the papers and the card pack and also the little sequins. They're pre-adhesive sequins, but they're stars. So it's a really great collection. I'm actually really enjoying using it, and I think it's quite beautiful. I'm going to leave Jen's links down below so you can go ahead and check her out. She always posts the most amazing layouts and inspiration and sketches and things like that on her Instagram. So go and check her out and tell her I say hi. And yeah, let's jump into the layout. So just like with Anita's layout, I took my piece of paper and I split it so I have a bit of a gap in between. Now, Anita did this really cool kind of fringe effect with her papers and then kind of made her stripes coming out from there. I'm just going to use my paper because it's already got the red and white stripes that I wanted. So I just cut it to kind of the right dimensions and split it across some white cardstock. I also had a bunch of my Wild Whisper papers out, so they created this gorgeous Canadian collection called Strong and Free. And I have only a few bits and pieces of it left. So I did have that card with the maple leaf on it. So I went ahead and kind of cut that out to start a bit of an embellishment cluster on the right hand side. And then I matted my photo with a few pieces of leftover scraps from the blue kind of fireworks paper from the Stars and Sparklers collection, and then also a piece of paper that I had scored to make little rosettes. I didn't end up using the whole thing, so I went ahead and put that as another mat behind my photo, and that is from Wild Whisper as well, from the Tinbit Travels collection that Nicole Wright designed. So it just kind of gives it is red and white, but it gives kind of a different pattern than the stripe. So it just helps that picture to kind of stand up a little more. That's the same paper here. So you can see I had a whole bunch of it left over. And I figured it's already scored, so why don't I go ahead and make some more rosettes? The layout that I did a couple days ago and this layout will probably be either back to back or beside each other in my album anyways, so it's okay if they have really similar elements to them. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of quick rosettes, just little ones. I think I do 2 with this pattern paper, and then I find a card from the card pack, from the Stars and Sparklers card pack, and I make a couple more rosettes with that. So I also pulled out some stickers. I really wanted to use up a bunch of the flower stickers and kind of have a little bit of the blues and the greens as that contrasting color to the red that's in the stripes. So you'll see me kind of fuss around with those a little bit and play around with the positioning of them. There's also, of course, flowers in Anita's layout, so I kind of wanted to make sure that I had some flowers there to kind of harken back to the inspiration piece, and lots of layers. So that's really what I was kind of going for with them, is lots of layers. Also, going back to my layout from a couple of days ago, I created my own little pattern paper with some watercolors, and this white cardstock that you see here, you could kind of see a little bit of red on it. I just used some watercolors to paint a section of the paper, and then I stamped some maple leaves with my Wild Whisper stamp, and I had a little chunk of it left over, so I cut 3 circles and I made my own little buttons with them, my own little flare with them. And I think this has sort of become a strategy for me in doing a daily, some sort of, 30 days of, or whatever it might be, but doing many days in a row of layouts. I'm kind of enjoying making some layouts, but keeping all of the scraps and all of the little extra bits and pieces that I am not using, keeping them on my desk, and then every few days just putting them all together and seeing what I can come up with. So I think I've found my strategy that kind of works, and it's kind of fun pulling all of these pieces together, all of the elements together. So that's where those flare came from, was just the leftover bits that I used from I think it was, what day was it? Day 4. It was day 4's layout. So I think I only used 2 of those, but they're kind of that nice little extra touch and extra embellishment. And then here you can see I went ahead and scored that card, and that's going to be my other rosettes. I just kind of like the craft as an extra color, kind of an accent color or a grounding color. So basically you just score. I'm probably about every 1/8. I didn't really measure them. If you wanted to be super precise, you could go ahead and measure them. But when I'm just using my trimmer, I'm kind of eyeballing it because they're such small score lines. So I'm about every 1/8 of an inch or so. And you just want to make sure that you do enough paper that you can get the rosette all the way around. So you kind of have to measure the width of your rosette versus the length of the paper that you're scoring. So for those bigger ones, I'm kind of cheating a little bit, especially the one on top of the photo. I kind of cheated a little bit and only did a half rosette there to make it a bigger size, but I didn't have a longer piece of paper. So you just want to take that into consideration. And then once you get everything scored, you just fold it back and forth like you were making a paper fan, and tape your 2 ends together, and then kind of squish the center down. I usually cut a circle of paper and put some adhesive down so it kind of holds it. And then you saw me here and in my last video where I was creating these, I just take a glass or something a little bit heavier and flat that can kind of sit on the rosette while the wet adhesive is drying really well. I use both. I feel like the ATG adhesive kind of holds it temporarily, and then the wet adhesive is what really bonds it down to the circle underneath. I do often use glue dots as well, but I've run out of those. So obviously there's other things you can use to make them stick down, but that's kind of how I make them. So now I've got all my little flowers fussy cut, and I pulled some off of the sticker sheet, and I've kind of cut out a bunch of the little leaves to put on both sides. So I have a little bit of green, and I have a little bit of blue, dark blue and light blue. And then of course, red is kind of that main color. So most of those red flowers actually came from a 12 by 12 piece of paper that I went ahead and fussy cut. I saved you from watching all of that because you've seen me fussy cut before many times. Now, on the right hand side, I didn't have any light blue flowers, so I'm going to fussy cut one more little section here. That is also from one of the journaling cards from the Stars and Sparklers collection, I do that quite often. If I can't get the embellishments from the papers or from the embellishment packs or the sticker packs, I always look at the different cards and see if I can find them there. And oftentimes you'll get the exact same picture, the same image, but just a smaller size. So it kind of works out nice that they're a little bit smaller on the right hand side where the embellishment cluster is a little bit smaller, and then a little bigger on the left hand side with the picture, because obviously that whole cluster is a little bit bigger. I also cut a little flower to put in the center of all of those rosettes. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to put there, and there's a few little teeny tiny flowers, so that worked out pretty good. And then now you can see me ripping the whole thing apart. So I thought I was done and I kept looking at it and it just didn't look right. It didn't have the same wow factor that I feel Anita's layout has with all those beautiful, bright kind of rainbow colors. And I think it's because it was just sort of red stripes. The white blends into the background, and so you don't get the same effect that you do in Anita's. And so what I thought I would do is try it on some black cardstock, and woo, this makes a difference, right? Do you see it? Do you see how suddenly everything just popped right out? That's really what it needed to make everything just stand out and to really make the red and white kind of pop and just look that much more bold. I'm also adding a thicker kind of sketchy line around the red and white paper. That just again really adds that contrast and makes it stand out. The black paper with the white polka dots is the May and June mix-ins from Close to My Heart that I also got from Jen Smith. So they happen to be out with me as well. And yeah, I just love how suddenly it transformed this layout. So my kind of finishing little touches here quickly is some foil washi tape that I'm putting at the top and the bottom. I don't know why, I just felt like it needed something to kind of frame it or hold it in place, maybe ground it a little bit. That's the one thing about having such a bold contrast in color, is I felt like it just needed that grounding compared to the white in Anita's layout. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it also brings in that extra fun kind of sparkle and different texture and color. And then I'm going to do a splattering of gold. This is the Heidi Swapp Color Shine in Gold. I'm running so low, so I'm being really stingy with it, but I just thought, again, that fun little touch of sparkle kind of scattered diagonally across the layout would be a nice texture. And then I remembered that I have these little kind of gems and pearls from Bo Bunny, so I'm going to use the red pearls, and they just kind of are in place of enamel dots, and scatter those around for just the texture again and a little bit of dimension. And that is it. That's my layout. I love how this turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please check out all the links down below for everybody else who's playing along today. And until tomorrow, happy scrapping. Bye.